breaking news on Crypto Banter, where you break the news.
Good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. We hope you're trading well. We've got a huge show for you here today on CryptoBanter.com, the only station that brings you live, up to the minute, real-time trading information, because we know that traders need real-time, live trading information to make decisions. Today, we've got a huge show, starting off with coverage of the Bitcoin price. We're at 25,000, or are we heading for 25,000? Today we have probably the most accurate Bitcoin chartist in the world live on our show. That's Chris from mmcrypto, and he's going to be telling us what he thinks about the Bitcoin price. Then in the next part of the news, we're looking at the Coinbase IPO. Coinbase is set to IPO. Will that change the market? Is that big news for the market, and what valuation are they going to come on at? We look at that later on today. Treasury is also said to be considering big crypto regulations. But will that dampen the mood right here on the Bitcoin, in the crypto market? Guggenheim makes a bold call for Bitcoin, $400,000. Tonight, we're going to look at where they actually got that valuation from. And then on the show tonight, we have some big names in crypto. Chris, the most accurate Bitcoin chartist in the world, is joining us from mmcrypto. Eric Wall talks about the rainbow chart and how to make money accumulating Bitcoin. Sam Bankman-Fried talks about DeFi. Charlie Lee talks about Litecoin. And then, of course, we've got our trading panel as usual. So I hope you guys are ready for a big show right here on CryptoBanter.com. And if you are, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button so that we can get more people watching this show. You're watching CryptoBanter.com. I'm Crypto Man Run. Let's get straight into it.
Crypto Banter is the world's first interactive social cast for the crypto community. Get the latest news, views, interviews, and live conversations with crypto enthusiasts from around the world. This is where you call in, you make the show, and you bring the banter. That's CryptoBanter.com, where you talk crypto.
Yeah, you're watching CryptoBanter.com. It's the only station in the world that brings you live, real-time crypto content where you can call in and you make the show and you bring the banter. A few things that we need to talk about. First of all, this is a call-in show, and you can call in and speak to all our guests live right here on CryptoBanter.com. And today we've got a whole lot of big names for you to call in at. If you want to call in, go to www.cryptobanter.com and hit the call-in button. And yes, guys, you can remain anonymous because we know how anonymity speaks to the crypto community. And then if you like the show, if you like what you're watching, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button, because that is what distributes our content to the masses. So let's not delay any further and let's get straight into the show. With me, I've got Chris from mmcrypto. Chris, welcome to CryptoBanter.com.
Thanks for having me, Ran. It's nice to meet you again. I think last time we met in South Korea, right?
South Korea, we were at a conference, and that was the time when we could still travel for crypto conferences. What a time.
The prices were much lower and the conferences were still full, but I feel like the quality is always high when the prices are low. If we would have some conferences right now, I'm pretty sure we would have a lot of mainstream people there shouting for the moon.
Of course. I must say that, one of the things that's quite funny to me is that the less people are going to conferences, the more prices are going up. Could it be that we were kind of wasting our time at conferences, and instead of building all the stuff that we needed to build, people actually spent their time at conferences? And as soon as conferences stopped, the prices started to go up, the project started to roll amazing stuff. I mean, is there a correlation there?
I don't know, man. I see correlations left and right. I see the stock market going up, Bitcoin going up, stock market going down, Bitcoin going down. The question is always, if there's a correlation, is it also causality? Is it because of that, or is it a random correlation? Who knows? But funny observation for sure.
All right, Chris, you sent me. So first of all, I must say to all our viewers that don't know Chris, he runs mmcrypto. He's a chartist. He's also the biggest crypto YouTuber in the world today. His videos get over 50,000 views, and they get the most likes that I've ever seen. I've never seen such an engaged community. But that's not the point here. The point here is that you are probably the most accurate Bitcoin chartist in the world at the moment. And I say that because I look at all the charts daily and I look at all the calls daily. And it seems like you put yourself out there and you get the answers right, or you get the calls right more times than you get them wrong. And in fact, more times than anyone else that I've ever seen. So I think I'm going to start off by asking you, how did you get into this? How did you learn to chart like this?
First of all, thanks, man. I'm sure there are a lot of amazing chartists out there, so I don't want to make that claim, but I really feel very blushed that I'm very blushed that you are saying these words. So thank you so much for that. I truly have an amazing community, and they are giving me all the energy I need to put these daily videos out there. I think a few years ago, I just started charting and I started trading. And of course, I lost a lot of money to go there. I think everyone has to do that. If you start trading, it's not going to go well from the very first place. But I developed a strategy over time that I put in rather less trades than more. So sometimes I'm standing on the sidelines for a week or for 2 weeks. It's no problem for me at all. I'm waiting for the right moment. I'm waiting for the pattern to break out. I'm also one-dimensional, so I'm only longing Bitcoin. So in bull markets, of course, I'm trading much more than in bear markets, where I'm mostly standing on the sidelines, accumulating, dollar cost averaging, pushing content and so on. But I think now is the time to trade. Now is the time to bring in these massive gains. So yeah, I think that's what the crypto community is about. We are waiting for the moment, and when the moment comes, we are going in with a strong
Chris,
trade.
I mean, Chris, if someone wants to learn how to do charts and understand the charts like you do, because you have a very deep understanding of the charts, and we're going to look at the charts in a second, and then our community is going to get a feel for what I'm talking about when we say you have a really deep understanding of the charts. How would one learn, or how did you actually learn to do the charts?
Well, it's after time, learning by doing, of course, right? I mean, I watched a lot of content myself, and then after time, I felt like, okay, this is more accurate, this is less accurate. And then I put all of these information in the basket, which I call my mind. And then I develop my own strategy. I really try to make it as easy as possible. Everyone who watches the videos, it's really like the easiest TA possible, still with all the most important metrics and the most important measurements involved. So I think easy wins the game here.
Another point is that you share your trades, or you share some of your trades with your community. And I've noticed that those trades are extremely profitable. Tell us about the trades. Tell us how much money you've made on those trades. I know you can share it because it is public on your channel, but I want to give our viewers a feel for the type of trades that you do and the numbers that we're talking about here.
Yeah, sure. So I want us to say again what happened in the last few weeks and months on our channel. It's not reflecting reality, because in fact, all of the trades, I show them when I open them. So all of the recent trades, they were all profitable. But I am telling you, it is not reflecting reality. I don't want to tell anyone who is not an experienced trader to rush into trading just because my trades or our community trades are all profitable. But yeah, recently it was like that. Usually it's more like a 60-40, 65-35% game usually. But recently, yeah, they were all profitable. So I had a few trades. I think in total now in the last 2 months, it was more than 1.1 million in profit, realized and unrealized, which is nice if you consider that there were no losses involved. In the trades I opened live, I took more than 500,000 live in profits in the episodes. And I'm right now having still I think 3 trades I have opened. One long-term trade with 310K in profit. No profits taken so far. Then I have 2 short-term trades where I took 130,000 in profits already, and then I still have 130,000 remaining. And the other trade is approximately also 130,000 in profits, where I took another 100,000 already in realized profits. So I think if you accumulate that all together, it's like 1.2, 1.3 million in the last 2 months alone, right?
That's amazing. And Chris, do you have any stats on the community? How much money has your community made, or have they reported to you that they've actually made?
That's crazy. I mean, I look like a small fish if you compare that. It's insane. I just made a live episode like 3-4 weeks ago or so. And I was asking the people live, guys, post your profits here in the comment section during the live episode. And the people were posting. And I mean, it is kind of anonymous, right? So there's no reason to lie. And people were posting like, I made $1 million in profit. I made $50,000 in profit. I made $100 in profit. I made 150,000 in profit. And I got hundreds of these comments. If you accumulate that together, I'm sure that was at least $50 million in reported profits only within a few minutes. And then you have to consider that some people were not watching live, some people were not commenting. So if you add that all together, I'm sure we are in the in the 8 figures, in the 9 figures, maybe even, like completely insane.
I mean, that is absolutely crazy. Chris, what happened in the bear market? Did you guys make money or did you trade in the bear market?
In the bear market, I was basically hodling. Like I had a few investments, of course, but I always invested like 1%, 2%. I always kept more than 90% of my holdings in Bitcoin. These investments I made, they were not profitable. I have to say it like it is. It is impossible to make profits in a bear market. Just invested 10% in the case I'm wrong that this is a bear market. I kept 90% in Bitcoin. They went down in US dollars, but I don't care because you always know if you hold one Bitcoin, it goes down, it is still one Bitcoin. And I measure everything in Bitcoin. So the bear market for me was actually a zero-sum game. For example, if you have one Bitcoin in the beginning of the bear market, in the end of the bear market, you still own one Bitcoin. And this is 1/21 millionth of the total supply. So you can basically not lose in a bear market if you are a true Bitcoin believer and you're just holding the Bitcoin.
Okay, and does that mean that you only trade Bitcoin? Because when I look at your videos, it's always the Bitcoin price, the Bitcoin price. Guys, listen to me, the Bitcoin price, the Bitcoin price. Is it only about Bitcoin or is there Ethereum? Do you ever bring Ethereum into the mix? Do you ever bring any other coins into the mix?
Yeah, I do sometimes. And now I just recently announced on Twitter that I personally think that the altcoin season is about to start very, very soon, because I was talking about since 18 months even on my channel. I made a few videos about that I am starting to scale into altcoins once Bitcoin not only hits the old all-time high, but goes above 20,000 and stays above 20,000. Because I personally predict that the altcoin season starts once this exact thing happens. If you go back in time in February 2017, when we broke the old all-time high in the last bull market, on the exact day we did that, the altcoin started gaining momentum. And I am predicting something similar to that, at least something similar to that had to happen again, because when Bitcoin breaks the all-time high, we have the mainstream media covering it, we have new people joining the space, and they are searching for cheap alternatives. So I want to front run that. I want to hold at least 10, 15% of my portfolio in altcoins, and I want to ride the wave towards the upside to take profits in Bitcoin.
All right. So that brings for a big conversation. So if you are going to or have diversified into altcoins, what are the favorite altcoins? And I'm sure you're going to say Ethereum.
Of course. I mean, I really want to be very cautious in mentioning altcoins, especially low capitalized altcoins. Let me focus here on the bigger ones. So one specific altcoin I bought, if you want to call it an altcoin, I bought a longer time ago already, and I just bought more recently when Bitcoin dipped into the all-time high. This is, of course, Ethereum. Then also Monero is one I really want to buy for the very long run. This is nothing for short-term profits. Ethereum is for sure my number one. Then Monero. Uniswap is also an altcoin I will be looking out for. Please, guys, be very cautious buying that. It is very risky, very volatile, but I actually see a lot of real use case in Uniswap. I see people using it. I see it as a very easy to use platform. It is a decentralized exchange, and this is one of the altcoins which I will put in my basket. And maybe on my channel in the next few days and weeks, I will be talking more about altcoins and cautiously mention some of them.
Okay, what is it about Uniswap that excites you? I mean, I know that people are using Uniswap. I know it's doing more volume than Coinbase, but is that the part that excites you? Because for me, Uniswap is just the beginning of machines talking to machines and trading crypto. And that for me is the important part.
For sure. I mean, everything you mentioned, this is exactly what's important for me. So, of course, you need usability. You need people using it. The huge volume is something which really drew my attention to it. I was waiting for Uniswap to get a token for a very long time. So when it came out, I knew exactly, wow, I have to buy it. So I bought it at like $2.70. I'm up in US dollars, slightly down in Bitcoin. But I was waiting for the moment. So all of these things are very important for me. And of course, this new use case or this new state of exchanges where you don't have a middleman, where you don't have anyone to tell you this transaction I am going to hold, you don't have any limits. So decentralized exchanges are very important. The only thing which was lacking throughout the whole bear market was that it was too hard to use for the grandma. And I am very sure every grandma below 70 can use Uniswap without a tutorial, and above 90 maybe above 70 maybe they need a small tutorial or so, but it's a very easy to use platform.
So, I mean, I must say that's very exciting, and especially against the background of this news, which we heard about a while back from Brian Armstrong. He tweeted something about this. But then Frank Chaparro, who's actually coming onto the show a bit later today, he broke this news saying US Treasury said to weigh new crypto transaction reporting rule aimed at self-hosted wallets. Now, I wonder what that does to something like Uniswap, because that's not coming out of a US institutions. That's going from peer to peer. And I don't think that they can force me to register your wallet before I make a payment to that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Chris, without further ado, because I know everybody wants to talk about or wants to see how you chart and how you make the call. So this is a chart you sent me. I think it's probably better if you share your screen. While you're sharing your screen, there's a share screen button on the bottom. I want to remind our viewers that if you like this content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, because if you don't hit the bell, you don't find out when new videos come out. We're here with Chris from mmcrypto. He's going to be showing us his Bitcoin charts. Guys, he is the most accurate Bitcoin chartist out there. I really watch every single chartist in the world. He doesn't call it wrong, or certainly in the last couple of weeks, he hasn't called it wrong even once. I mean, I can attest to that. I've been doing that. Also, remember, if you want to speak to Chris, and I can say here that the chat is going absolutely mad here, man. So if you do want to speak to him, there is a chance for you guys to call in. Just go to www.cryptobanter.com or look at the YouTube description, and there's a StreamYard link. Hit that link, and you can call in, and you can remain anonymous, and you can speak to Chris. Otherwise, we'll take your questions right here in the YouTube chat. All right, I'm going to share your screen if you just want to put the chart up on the screen.
All right.
All right,
can you see the chart?
We can see it.
Perfect. So as you can see, this is the easiest way possible to chart. I really made it today. I made a very easy one. I also have, of course, something like this here where you have all the recent patterns we had with the price targets we met. But I will leave the complicated stuff out for now. Let's focus on this one. And this is the BLX chart, which plots the price action since 2010 for Bitcoin. So the chart with the biggest history. And every candlestick here represents 1 month. And as you can see here, I made it as easy as possible. What you can see is that the Bitcoin price usually develops between two converging trend lines until we eventually break out. So the first converging trend lines we had here in 2011, where we actually eventually broke out towards the end of 2012 here. And what you can see is after the breakout, the moment we actually broke the previous all-time high, the Bitcoin price was going into this massive parabolic bull run towards the new all-time high in 2013 before we had the Mt. Gox crash. So here, after this breakout out of the symmetrical out of this converging trend lines, we went from $11 all the way up to $1,200. These symmetrical triangles or converging trend lines, I was actually sharing all the way back last year already, and I think I was the first one to point that out. Of course, it's not a real pattern, but it is converging trend lines. As you can see, the Bitcoin price was here developing once again. We broke out towards the new all-time high in 2017, and the most important thing, the reason why I was actually pointing that out here is because many people were asking me, Chris, why did you go so bullish? Why did you open so many trades on Bitcoin, and why at the prices of 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 you were so certain that the parabolic bull run is starting? Well, the reason for that is what you can see here on the right hand side. Of course, one of the fundamental reasons was when in March and April all of these big news came out that the central banks, 84 central banks in the world, are starting to print more currency than ever in the history of mankind. Well, this was one of the reasons, maybe not ever in the history of mankind, but more than in the last 100 years. This was one of the fundamental reasons. But the chart reasons here were that we had here once again these converging trend lines towards in the whole year of 2018 and 19. And the moment we actually broke out, that was in July. That was 2-3 months after the money printing actually started. And this was the moment I opened my first trade here, approximately at the $9,500 levels. And then something magical happened. I wanted to show it to you. And this is still relevant. So relevant right now, because this is the beginning of what I expect to be one of the craziest and biggest bull markets in the history of Bitcoin. Not percentage-wise, but in absolute numbers, we will see crazy things happening. I personally think in 2021, we will see daily volatilities of up to $10,000. So wait for this. Daily
10,000.
volatilities. Yeah. I'm 100%. I'm very sure about that. I'm very certain, because my own personal price target for the end of 2021 would be, of course, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but I will maybe, if we have some time, talk about the qualitative reasons behind that, is at least $200,000. Just to wrap that up here very quickly is, we got this breakout here in July. I was talking about it. And then something very, very important happened. The Bitcoin price got rejected and we confirmed the breakout here. This is such a clean breakout confirmation. And this made me so extremely bullish. And as you can see here afterwards, we went completely parabolic. So on the way up, I opened so many trades because I knew from the technical point of view, I will not get a chance like this here once again. And of course, you can see here this horizontal yellow line. The moment we broke the previous all-time high, the moment we went above the very important psychological $20,000 level, the Bitcoin price went completely parabolic again, and we entered this green zone, which I call the last phase of the bull market. And this is why I think in this green box here, this represents approximately 12 months. In the next 12 months, we are going to see the Bitcoin price, in my opinion, don't throw your life savings in it, invest at your own risk. We are probably going to see a massive parabolic rise towards highs most people are not expecting here. So this chart basically shows us exactly what is going on right now, and that what we are seeing right now is actually to be predicted, and is actually also something like we are just repeating history here, in other words. So the Bitcoin price doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. So this is what I want to say about this specific chart.
That looks amazing. Now, the question is what happens in the short term? So to me, it feels like we're like a little bit overbought in the short term. We went up very, very, very fast. Crazy fast. Reminded me of 2017, and that was very scary for me. That deja vu of 2017 brings back memories.
Exactly. So to answer your question, I agree. We are not a little bit overbought. We are very overbought, actually, right? Does that mean that we are necessarily going down now for a few $1,000s? Not necessarily, but I think the higher we go, the higher the odds are actually of us getting this rejection. And today we saw something interesting, because I am here right now on the hourly candles, and you can see I was actually calling for a breakout, a breakdown or breakout. I was not specifically quoting the direction here in today's episode. And you can see the Bitcoin price was breaking down, confirming the breakdown here. And the specific price target for that would be, and I would be very cautious shorting Bitcoin in a bull run. I am not shorting Bitcoin. I didn't short this specific breakdown here, but the price target of this breakdown would be technically, and here the likelihood is actually high of Bitcoin not hitting it, because the bulls are very strong right now, but the breakdown target would be here at $21,400. So usually when everyone is bullish, when everyone is making profits, of course, these things tend to happen. Usually a symmetrical triangle and an uptrend breaks more often to the upside. But here you can see actually Bitcoin punishing the over-leveraged people. I know that there are many people in a 50x, 100x long position, and these people, usually, according to the market, they don't deserve to make these quick gains, because greed usually is punished rather sooner than later. So this is actually something which is not very uncommon. We also see an M pattern here. So in the immediate short term, I would not be going into any long trades. I am waiting for Bitcoin to form the next pattern, whether it is after hitting the bearish price target here, and then this next pattern breakout. This is something I would be probably trading towards the upside here when the Bitcoin price breaks out after this rejection. Just wanted to draw the attention from the people here just quickly to something which I found to be extremely mind-blowing. What you can see here is approximately 30 patterns, and this is all patterns I was calling on our mmcrypto channel. And zooming in here, I just zoom into a random time zone here. You can see that all of these patterns were breaking out in the predicted direction and breaking out exactly to the price targets here. All of that documented in the charts. And usually, and this is something which completely blew my mind, even though I was quoting these things, I was not expecting so many price targets to get hit. So what I can see right now is that the Bitcoin price actually, much more often than not, is hitting these price targets here. And this is something which concerns me a little bit, because we can see probably the vast majority of people trading Bitcoin right now, at least in the last 2 weeks, being in a profit. And this is a warning sign for me. So I am personally expecting a correction rather sooner than later. But I wanted to point something out before you may ask your next question here. If I go over to the daily candles, then you know what? Let me go over to the 3-day candles here. I wanted to point out some price targets because this is what the people want to know.
Exactly what people want to know. They're going crazy in the chat here. They want to know price targets. They're saying if we are going to go down, what are we going to go down to? Let's get to that.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say now. So as I already said, in the immediate short term, on the hourly, maybe on the 4-hourly here, a correction is not all too unlikely. It is actually happening right now. Let's see if this breakdown I actually mentioned before here solidifies and we are hitting the price target. But in the matter of fact is that on the daily, I see Bitcoin continues in this bull trend. Of course, we will see corrections, maybe 15, maybe 20% down, but we are still in this uptrend. We are still creating higher lows and also higher highs for Bitcoin. So we have to face that we are probably going to hit higher price targets, if not in December, then at least in January. So one of these price targets in January, and I wanted to show something here before, which is completely mind-blowing, is that I am right now, this is the only thing we can do. We are in uncharted territory. We are above 20,000 where we've never been before. So we cannot use any VPVR. We cannot use any previous resistances. So the only thing we can actually use right now is Fibonacci extension levels. And they are so accurate. Something I was pointing out here recently, it was a price target I was calling for the last 2 weeks, is from the swing high to the swing low here, and I will come to the next price target just in a minute. This Fibonacci extension level of 2x was bringing us to 23,700. And as you can see here, the Bitcoin price exactly pretty much exactly went to 23,700. Looks like magic, right? So the question, Ran, is, what is the next price target here according to the Fibonacci extension levels? And
everybody's asking, what is the next one?
That is coming right now. But here I really wanna tell you guys, please don't throw your life savings in. This is always right until it's wrong, right? So please, guys, please don't take it here only because recently all of these price targets were hit. Don't take it for 100% granted here. But the next one I would be actually calling is from the all-time high here to the bear market low. And if you draw this Fibonacci retracement level, you will get some nice extensions here plotted. And the most famous one which we are actually also usually hitting rather sooner than later, is this famous 1.618, which is called the golden ratio here. And the golden ratio would bring us to, and now I want everyone to sit down and to calm down, to $29,500. This is a price target I may be not looking out for tomorrow, for next week, for the week afterwards. But I think this is realistic to quote for January. And I think 29,500 is a possible scenario here for January. If I were to auto-scale this, don't be surprised if we are getting a correction here and then finally going up to the specific price target. But Ran, if you're asking me for my next price target for the next few weeks, $30,000 is a realistic one in my opinion.
All right, Chris, we are running out of time here. I was hoping to have you on for much longer, but we've got such a jam-packed show today. Chris, why do you do this? Do you make money out of the YouTube videos? A lot of people are asking, does he do this because he makes money from YouTube? Why do you do this? Is it because you just want to share it? Give our community a feel for, as a YouTuber, what's in it for you guys?
So first of all, I want to say I don't need YouTube to survive. Everyone saw the profits, and the profits from the last 3 trades alone would probably feed me for the next 5 years. And this was only 3 trades, right? So, or maybe even more years. But of course, it is nice to develop a business. It is nice to reach people. And in the very beginning, I started with YouTube not to make money. I started with YouTube because I wanted to share my knowledge. I wanted to reach people, and I wanted to have an impact in this space, and I wanted to help Bitcoin to reach mainstream adoption. And I am very sure that I am doing my part here, but of course I am making money from YouTube ad revenue. I'm making money from affiliate income, but the trades show that I don't need it. It is just a nice add-on for the value I am adding to so many people.
All righty, Chris, thank you so much. Eric, what do you think of Chris's chart and Chris's prediction?
Personally, I think that there is only one chart that you need to use if you want to predict the price of Bitcoin, and that is, of course, the rainbow chart. All other charts are,
I have to see this rainbow chart. Chris, do you know what this rainbow chart is? I mean, do our viewers know what the rainbow chart is? Tell us here in the comments. Also, while you're here, like, subscribe the bell, like, subscribe the bell, like, subscribe the bell, because that is what gets distribution of this. Chris knows this because he's got the most successful YouTube channel today, crypto YouTube channel on the planet today. He deserves it. He calls them right, and he's worked really, really hard. All right, do you want to share your screen, Eric, and show us this rainbow chart? Chris, I want to get your views on this rainbow chart, if you have a minute.
Sure.
All righty. So we're going to wait for Eric just to share his screen. Eric, while you're sharing your screen, everybody's going to like and subscribe. All righty, there we go. So we've got the rainbow chart. Tell me about this rainbow chart.
Well, so the rainbow chart, it's like, I don't know if you know about the stock-to-flow model, but this is very similar, except it's better in almost every conceivable way. So what we've done, basically, we've looked at the historic price of Bitcoin, and we've regressed a logarithmic regression on top of this chart, and that is what is producing this curve fit that is following the price of Bitcoin. And what we can see here is that this logarithmic regression that was created back in 2014, I can show you with my arrow here. This was around the time when the chart was first invented. And as you can see, all these years since the invention of the chart, Bitcoin has traded almost exclusively within this range. And not only that, the chart is also capable of spotting the lows and the highs with almost perfect accuracy. So, you know, when I think about the rainbow chart, I don't think about this as merely a financial curiosity. I think of it as what we've discovered is a fundamental law of nature, pretty much the same way that when Copernicus discovered the motion of the planets and how planets revolve around each other based on gravity, I think that we've uncovered an equally convincing phenomenon here with the rainbow chart. So because it would be mathematically impossible that you could have a price chart that tracks so well. I mean, you can look at the lows, you can look at the highs. It's statistically impossible that you would have this high correlation with any mathematical phenomenon without there being an underlying fundamental law. So I think that the rainbow chart has done well in the past, and the rainbow chart can be expected to do well in the future as well.
What is the rainbow chart telling our viewers today? And remember, we have some listeners on our app who listen to the audio-only version. Right now, the chart to me looks like it is on still cheap.
Right. So the chart is telling us that the price of Bitcoin is still cheap. And this may come as a surprise to a lot of people because we're at the highest price of Bitcoin ever. But if you look at the previous predictions that the chart made, so in 2017, the chart said that Bitcoin was still cheap at $2,500. And then Bitcoin was also trading at the highest price that it ever had traded. However, $2,500 was a cheap price, just in the same way that $2,300 is a cheap price.
$23,000. Chris, have you ever seen a chart like this? Have you ever seen, or is this the first time you've seen the rainbow chart?
No, I've seen it a few times. Then there are also some other ones which are also accurate, the Bitcoin logarithmic growth charts, which are having the different Fibonacci extension levels within the logarithmic growth curves. It's a very accurate one, especially if you look into the past. You cannot deny the fact that it is a very accurate one. One thing I wanted to say is that I think that one specific fact will be offsetting all of these models in this bull market, because this one is actually also predicting probably a price, if we are reaching the next all-time high within the next 12 months at, I don't know, 150,000 US dollars maximum, 120,000, something like that.
130, 40, 50,000. I'm looking at what Eric's drawing. Yeah.
And something which all of these charts, whether it's the rainbow chart, whether it's the stock-to-flow model, which I am also a very big fan of, or the logarithmic growth charts, or another chart I was showing today, something these charts cannot predict, or they cannot factor in, or at least they are not factoring that in yet, is the monetary policy. And all of these things, they are measuring Bitcoin not in ounces of gold, for example, which would be in the future probably more accurate. They are measuring it in US dollar. And US dollar can be inflated artificially just on behalf of a few people here sitting on top of the 84 central banks. And now we are seeing unprecedented currency printing. And when the measurement where Bitcoin is actually measured in, which is fiat currency like US dollar, is getting debased, is completely getting diluted in the purchasing power, then the Bitcoin price will have no problem to go, instead of 250,000 to 300,000 US dollars. If they would be, which I don't think they will in the next year, triple down on the currency printing and they just triple the circulating supply of US dollars, well, no problem. Bitcoin can go to 600,000 US dollars. The question in the end is, what is your purchasing power and how much can you buy for that? So this would be a much more accurate measurement tool, for example, in ounces of gold.
Amazing. Chris, thank you so much. We're going to let you go here. Eric, I'm going to keep you on the line. So, love this chart. It seems to be incredibly accurate. How did you guys come up with it?
Yeah, I just got to say first that Chris is completely wrong saying that this chart doesn't calculate for the monetary policy and the expansion of the monetary supply. I mean, if you think about what is the reason that the US and all other central banks are expanding their monetary supply, it's obviously because they are also buying Bitcoin. And why are they buying Bitcoin? They are buying Bitcoin because they can see just as well as anyone that the price of Bitcoin is bound to go up. And I'm speaking to hedge fund managers, asset managers all over the world, and the ones that are most profitable in Bitcoin are the ones that are following the rainbow chart. So I would even go as far as to say that the reason that we have monetary expansion in the economy today is because banks are gearing up to purchase Bitcoin.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry, but in what way? In what way is that an argument for this chart factoring in the monetary printing? You didn't give a reason why this is a reason for this chart factoring it in, because this chart should be more tilted towards the upside if it would be factoring in what is happening since March this year.
All you need to know with the rainbow chart is that it's going to have perfect accuracy predicting the highs and the lows of the price of Bitcoin. And all the other factors, I mean, we didn't know, for instance, in 2017, that we would have the first retail waves that are flocking the exchanges. But none of that is necessary. The rainbow chart is more than just a price prediction. It uncovers a mathematical phenomenon that describes a natural law, just in the same way as the stock-to-flow chart. However, you mentioned two other models, the logarithmic, the log chart and the stock-to-flow. Both of those models are incapable of tracking the price of Bitcoin correctly, because the log chart, that's an exponential curve. Same thing with stock to flow. It predicts an infinite price of Bitcoin once the supply has already been minted. The rainbow chart, you can see the pattern here. It's a curved chart on the logarithmic chart. That's because it's factoring in the diminishing returns of a growing currency. So once Bitcoin gets bigger and bigger, it's going to get slower and slower to increase as much as it has done in the past. That's why we have a curve chart, and this is the reason why the rainbow chart is so much better at predicting prices than other charts have been. It's the only chart that has been working since 2014. Everybody that has traded using the rainbow chart are millionaires now, or even billionaires. I'm the only one that is using the rainbow chart that isn't already a billionaire. And the only reason that happened is because I lost all my Bitcoins at Mt. Gox in 2014. If it wasn't for that, I would already a billionaire. Let me tell you, I had $100 in 2015. Now I'm a millionaire. If I didn't lose all my Bitcoin at Mt. Gox in 2014, I would be a billionaire. The only reason that you don't see a lot of people more than me that is tweeting about this chart on Twitter, that is publishing it everywhere, is because those guys, they are already billionaires now. They don't need Twitter anymore. You can find them on yachts in Dubai. I'm here in my hotel room in Dubai, by the way. So this is the reason that you don't see a lot of people talking about this chart. But it is the only way, if you want to have full accuracy at predicting the price of Bitcoin, you got to go with the rainbow.
All right. I mean, it does sound interesting. And I guess you guys are both in Dubai, so I guess you guys could probably catch up at some point and talk about the merits of the rainbow chart. You did mention something that, Chris, I'm going to let you go because I see that we're well over time with you. So thanks very much. It was a great pleasure having you. I'm definitely going to get you on again because the comments here are crazy. People are calling in, but I've just got so many people on the line, and we've got FinTech Frank coming on next. Chris, thank you so much. Eric, are you saying, did I hear you right, that you're saying that governments are devaluing their money because they are buying Bitcoin?
I mean, governments, they have some of the most intelligent people in the world that are working for them. And I wouldn't be surprised if they have already looked at the rainbow chart and made it their decision that they're going to acquire Bitcoin just for this reason. I mean, we just heard that in China, the government has seized 1% of the Bitcoin supply from the plus token scammers. What is the reason that governments are so aggressively going after building out Bitcoin positions right now? It could very well be, and this is my understanding, that people are looking at the rainbow chart, and this is why we're seeing so much heavy accumulation right now.
Alrighty, that's definitely a great theory. I hope you're right. Not sure that I agree with you 100%. If people want more about this rainbow chart, where can they go?
Yeah, I gotta give kudos to the inventors. I mean, I'm just a humble Bitcoin analyst. I don't have the mental capacity to develop charts that are as predictive as the rainbow chart. So I've just been lucky enough that I've been in Bitcoin so long that I've discovered the rainbow chart. The founder of the model is a person on Bitcoin Talk. His name is Trollolo. You can search for his old posts and read about the mathematics that went into making the chart. The rainbow pattern that has been overlaid on top of the logarithmic regression was made by a user called Aesop on the Reddit subreddit called Bitcoin Markets. He was the one that first used the rainbow colors. And then Romeo is a German guy who has made a live version of the chart that you can track in real time. This is the one that I've been sharing on my screen, and you find that chart on let's see the web address for it. I think it's blockchain center, blockchaincenter.net. Yes, that's where you're finding.
Alrighty. Eric, it sounds amazing. If our viewers want more information, I'm sure they'll go there. We have to move on because we've got a jam-packed show for you. Right now, we have a very special segment for you. You all know him. You all follow him on Twitter.
Breaking news on Crypto Banter, where you break the news.
I'm going to bring in my favorite news journalist, and that, of course, is a Magnum PI, or as a Frank Chaparro. Frank, I thought you shaved the mustache. We don't hear you. Let me just try and unmute you. Maybe you need to unmute yourself. Your mic is not connected. Let's try and connect your mic. Alrighty, while you're trying to connect your mic, Frank, we're going to bring in Adrian Bashuk. Adrian, are you there? Oh, hold on, let's see if Frank is back.
Can you hear me?
Frank, are you back? We can hear you, Frank.
Oh, great.
All right, Frank.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I thought you shaved the mustache.
I did. It had a glorious comeback after the summer. I was like, all right, we'll come back. I came back to New York and figured, all right, don't want to shock people too much with this thing. Shaved it, and then the world just wanted more, so I grew it back. I feel more myself right now. So
yeah, the world did want more. Frank, you broke this story. This should have been a really scary story. It doesn't look that scary. The market didn't even respond to the story. I mean, tell us what the story is about. This is the story about the U.S. Treasury said to U.S. Treasury said to weigh new crypto transaction reporting rule aimed at self-hosted wallets. Tell us what it means. Tell us what you're expecting.
This has been a story in the making, right, for a while. So I kind of came on my radar. You know me, I'm more focused on the trading side of things and talking with market makers and OTC desks about what they're seeing out in the market. And so I noticed yesterday, Genesis Global Trading, in their market commentary, their market color briefing, that they were sort of taking a look at this and saw this on the horizon. So I thought, it's probably worth figuring out what exactly is coming, since the rumor mill on Twitter every day was putting out something new about this development. I figured I'd find out exactly what was going on. And so there were some folks who thought that there was the potentiality of a self-hosted wallet ban, or exchanges for some period of time wouldn't be able to, or would stop supporting customers from being able to send crypto to their own personal wallets. And so ultimately what we sort of uncovered here and what's reported in the story is that the U.S. Treasury, at least as of last night, this was something that was going late into the evening and was being deliberated as we sort of reported it, was that they're looking at whether to today propose a rule that could either be an interim final rule that goes effect immediately upon release, or a notice of proposed rulemaking. Sure, some of your listeners are thinking, that's great, Frank. I don't really care about like the granular details of this. What does this mean for my crypto? It depends, right? So if this rule that they're proposing goes into immediate effect, basically it would require exchanges to kind of do a little more work on the reporting side of certain transactions that are above
Frank.
Yeah.
Are you expecting that they're going to issue some kind of rule that says if you want to transfer your money out of Coinbase, you're going to have to register your Ledger or your Nano or your other device?
Yeah, exactly. You'd have to white label it on their platform. It would have to be a sort of like approved wallet that you'd put on. You register on the platform.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing for crypto? Now, I know for us early people that got in, we want our anonymity. We don't want anyone to know where we keep our wallets, and that's the whole thing. But if they do this, it does make the space much more legitimate, and it does make it more like banking, and it does then bring a whole lot more money into the space. So you're kind of like messing with this like scale, on the one hand, we don't want it, but on the other hand, if we want banks and institutions in, this is really the only way to get it.
Yeah, that's kind of the thinking that Genesis had. Most institutions, they don't really care about its sort of use as a libertarian type asset that they can hold personally. They just want that exposure, and they want to be exposed to an asset that could be a inflation hedge. And so they're going to keep buying it, even if price goes down as a result of something heavy-handed by Treasury. This isn't something that's going to impact their thesis on crypto. And so I doubt it would impact price in the long term, but it might chip away to an extent for certain folks, that sort of libertarian value of the coin, and make it harder to engage with the network. But obviously, there are still ways to get around it. You don't need to be a customer of Coinbase. You don't need to be a customer of centralized exchange.
You can be a customer of FTX, and we're going to talk to Sam Almeida. He's coming on right after you.
Nice.
Frank, I want to ask two quick questions, and then we're going to bring in Sam onto the line. Messari valuing Coinbase at $28 billion after the IPO filing. Do you think that's realistic?
I think it is. I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot of pent up demand. I didn't look at the analysis granularly to comment on it specifically, but if you look at what a Coinbase IPO would mean, it would be the first legitimate of large size company to go public in the United States. And so that's significant. It's a business that's more understandable than some others that have come to market, like Canaan, which is a mining company. We have retail brokerages in the U.S. that trade. We have exchanges in the U.S. that trade, so we have an idea of what it will trade at. And it depends what the investment world thinks of Coinbase as a business. Is it an exchange? Is it a retail business, et cetera? And that will help to determine the value of it. I'd like to bring in Sam. Thanks.
I'm going to bring in Sam at this point. Sam, I can see you're on. You need to unmute yourself. You're live on Crypto Banter. Welcome, Sam. Sam, what do you think of this? What do you think of this Coinbase listing? I mean, is this big news? What are you expecting? Are you comfortable with a $28 billion valuation?
Right. It's a good question. And I sort of think the answer is maybe it's huge news, but it could also be sort of a dud. I think it's super high volatility, but I do think it might be huge. And I think people often try and say oh, this is about what this thing's going to list at. This is about what it's going to be worth. And I think that analysis is worth a lot. You can definitely get some info from it. But so much of this, what matters here is not exactly the money they raised from the IPO. That's not what's going to influence the industry. The thing that really matters here is what does it do to the public's imagination, right? Really the thing that you're looking for with this is does Coinbase's IPO cause the random person to say maybe I should own a Bitcoin, or maybe I should own some Coinbase. And I think that that could happen. And I think that really the prime example of this is Tesla. If you want to look at a stock, the influence that a stock existing and being listed can have on a company and an industry, I think that's just a prime example where, and I think that to some extent, right now, Tesla's cars are quite good, but that's not their greatest product. Like their greatest product is the TSLA stock. Like that's the thing that's caught fire even more than their physical product.
Such an interesting way to look at it. You know, you think Tesla has this kind of loyalty or this cult, like I hate calling it a cult, or this movement, like Bitcoin, like crypto. I mean, I always say that crypto traders are more loyal to their coins than they are to their wives and their religion. You know, so it's like, you know, now you're saying you can buy these shares in this company that trades crypto, and it's really the only real shares of a listed exchange.
Yeah. And so I think like there's a world in which this catches fire in the public's imagination. And this is just all people talk about for a week. It's like the biggest news story for a week. And for the next 5 years, it's one of the five most popular retail stocks in the States. And I think in that world, you know, this IPO itself could just have massive impact, but that's not guaranteed. And I think that like there have been extremely hyped up listings before that just, and I think like maybe the best example of this is like CME and CBOE Bitcoin futures, right? Back in late 2017, those were unbelievably hyped. I mean, that was what was going to send Bitcoin to 10,000, right? And like about 2 days after they listed, slowly people realized no one gave a fuck. Like everyone thought it was going to be a big thing. No one traded them. Not no one, but like just not enough people. And then it's just like kind of a crash because people are like, oh God, like that was it. And so I think it's just like super unknown what'll happen. But in the world where it gets hot, it could get really hot. And I think people are talking about 28 billion. I mean, look, that's fucking high for Coinbase. Like that's in some sense they should be like honored to have it. But you know,
I want to talk about that.
Yeah,
I want to talk about that. But before we talk about that, let's just look at this. This is a story that FinTech Frank broke. You can get the story on the block. I got the story as soon as it broke. It said U.S. Treasury said to weigh new crypto transaction reporting rule aimed at self-hosted wallets. Sam, you're in the exchange business effectively. Yes, it's a derivative exchange. Does this kind of stuff worry you?
Yeah, so there's like a few different aspects of this, and you know, from the perspective of like a centralized exchange, it's just fucking annoying. Like it's just like thinking through. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, and a lot of this depends on exactly what this regulation says. And I think like the details really matter here, if it even does happen. But there's some versions of this where it's just like, oh, geez, like, all right, like our job just became 15% harder because of this thing, because like the amount of customer support that's going to have to be dedicated to tracking down like, oh, hey, like, you know, Bob312@hotmail.com. I see you tried to withdraw to the address during like FJ31. We don't have that registered, and we're worried that might be a MetaMask, and it was $11,000. And he's like, yeah, it's MetaMask. Like, and whatever. It's like it's not like unsolvable, and I think it really isn't devastating to the business model. That's
time.
Exactly. It's just annoying. And when I say it's annoying,
it's costly. It's going to cost you money. I mean, it's going
to
cost
money. It's going to cost time, but it's just not going to be brutal. It's not going to be devastating. It's just going to be a pain. And that's not trying to pass judgment on. I don't know what form it'll take, and so I'm not trying to weigh that against the pros of potentially having. I'm just saying, you know, from the perspective of centralized exchange, it's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. From the perspective of DeFi, I mean, that's really going to depend on exactly what it says. Some versions of this are brutal for DeFi, and some versions don't matter that much. But like, and like in particular, if it really is just like there's a bit of friction when you go from Coinbase or FTX to MetaMask or Solid or anything like that, if you're sending more than $10,000, and then once you've done that, the friction's gone, whatever, you know, that's a bit annoying. It's not the end of the world. But there's another version of this where it instead marks anything coming from a self-custodial wallet as like suspected AML violations, right? As being tainted coins, and all the exchanges start like gray listing to blacklisting, not just sending directly from them without whitelisting, but any coins that have recently been through any of these. And in that extreme scenario, that could be extremely brutal for self-hosted wallets. And so I think like, I mean, and for DeFi, because that's what it runs on. So I think like depending on where you end up in that spectrum, it sort of could be all over the place for DeFi.
Frank, where did you get this news from? I have to ask you. I know that journalists have their sources, but I'm very keen to understand your process in getting a story like this, and then also maybe that could give us insight as to the type of legislation that we could actually expect.
The most important thing when thinking about what could be rolled out by Treasury and the impact of the industry is the timing that the exchanges have to address any type of change. And so this gets to Sam's point around this being a headache for exchanges. What people were really worried about, the most dangerous form this could have taken, was if exchanges and industry insiders had no time to sort of comment or address. If it was an immediate rule change, then effectively what would have happened is you'd have exchanges as a result, and this is what people were worried about, have to effectively ban transfers to self-custodial wallets. So it wouldn't be a ban by the Treasury, but it would be an effective ban because the exchanges, in order to subscribe with the new regulation, would have to ban it for a temporary period. So last night, it looked like it wasn't leaning towards this sort of immediate rule change. It's going to take the form of a sort of a proposal, right, where folks will have 15 days to sort of adjust and comment and offer feedback. But there's an argument that even if it's under that time period, it's too short, and that it'd be difficult to provide meaningful feedback from stakeholders. If it's an ANPR, there would be a more traditional 3 to 6 month period of dialogue, which is what most of the folks I've talked to really want.
And by that time, Steve Mnuchin's gone, and
then he's gone, and it doesn't worry. And maybe Jenny Yellen does something else. These are people, and to be clear, obviously I can't talk about who my sources are. One time I tweeted something about Sam, and he wanted to know who told me, and I think I ignored you. But these are people in and around Treasury.
Yeah.
Frank, we're going to let you go at this stage because we're going to have a DeFi discussion with Sam. But Sam, you want to answer that?
Oh, I'll just briefly say I can corroborate. I can't corroborate firsthand, but I can say I also have heard sources telling me similar things to what Frank is saying. And I mean, no one seems to know for sure, but that does seem to be roughly kind of what people are saying. And to really echo what Frank said, if it's immediate, that's a fucking shit show. 2 weeks is very fast. 2 weeks is not that much better than immediate.
It's not going to happen in 2 weeks. Frank, you think it's going to happen in 2 weeks?
15 days comment period is what they were leaning towards as of last night.
All right, Frank, when can we expect follow-up to the story? When are you going to report the next part of the story as to whether it's happened or hasn't happened? When are you going to start looking for that?
Well, this is the thing about these types of news events, these regulatory stories. This was supposed to come yesterday, and so then I found out that it was coming today. So hopefully it comes today. We'll find out in the next few hours what the exact form this will take, but could come Monday or Tuesday. But this is definitely on the horizon.
Keep us updated. All right, we're going to move into the DeFi part of the discussion here, and that's why I've got Sam Bankman-Fried here. He's here on the line with us. We're going to talk about the DeFi market. But first, guys, if you are watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button now. You guys are the best community. We have been doubling our views. In fact, our last show got 10x the number of views that we normally get, and that's only because of the love that you give us, so we can give you the love back. And speaking of love, there's a lot of love going on in the chat. They're calling you the Superman of crypto. They're calling you the genius SBF. There's a whole lot of these going out here. Sam, for those viewers who don't know you, and I mean by now you've been on every single podcast in the world and you've spoken about it, really a brief history of how you started FTX, but really keep it down to 2 minutes just for the few people who don't know who you are.
So I started out before crypto trading ETFs at Jane Street Capital. In 2017, I left and started up Alameda Research, a crypto liquidity provider. And then in 2018, there are big problems with the derivative space in crypto. The exchanges had a lot of issues, and there just weren't very many of them that were offering derivatives, despite them being more than half of the world's volume in crypto. And so it basically just seemed like, wow, huge opportunity, pretty soft space. Like the industry needs something. It needs sort of a new architecture for derivatives. I didn't fucking know how to get any customers. That is sort of unknown. But I sort of knew how to build a product. So we built it out, and we're like, all right, guys, it's here. Anyone know? I want to use it now. And I think that's sort of the grand experiment of FTX was like, were we ever going to get past that phase? And I think a year earlier the answer would have been no. But by that point we sort of knew enough people to get the first users and to start to get a little bit of a conversation about it and to grow out from that. And I think 3 months or so after it started, it really started just getting that exponential growth, and it became clear that it was gonna get there in terms of getting enough sort of news that people are gonna give it a shot.
Sam, I wish you could see the chat. The chat says, "This is that God himself talking." There's someone here
Oh
he
boy.
smashed the shit out of this of the like button. So a whole lot of stuff going on here. Sam, I want to talk to you in context of this Coinbase IPO.
Yep.
We've seen specifically that a lot of the IPOs of late have been very badly priced. We saw that specifically around Airbnb, where they must have priced it wrong, because had they priced it right, the price wouldn't have doubled and nearly tripled on the first day. You were the first guys to launch Airbnb futures. Tell me a little bit about the thinking there. Tell me about what happened with that.
Yeah, I mean, it was clearly what people wanted. Like they sort of like, everyone was asking us like, hey, Airbnb, like, can we have it as soon as it lists? And some people were like, could we even have it before? And so we sort of huddled up and were like, well, I don't know. Can they have it before? And the answer turned out to be yes, we can do that. It took some work, but we got there. And I think it's super exciting. And the thing I like most about it is just as a taste of what's possible, just as a taste of like there's another boundary that doesn't actually exist. Like, that's another thing that isn't something we can't do, theoretically speaking. And so I think that was super exciting. But yeah, I mean, we sort of like initially started trading on FTX at like the quoted IPO and maybe opening price, whatever the fuck that means. What people start chattering about on the internet of like 60. And I mean, like, it became clear pretty soon that was not where it's going to start trading. It was like there were no sellers. Everyone was buying. So it, ended up, I think, running up to like 150, opened around there. And I mean, there have been some really frothy IPOs recently. This is one of them.
How long in advance would someone who was watching the futures on FTX known that this IPO seemed to have been incorrectly priced?
Pretty quickly. I mean, I think it's like, it depends on how much you're looking. Like, if you're just staring at it the whole time, but within 10 minutes, you're like, oh, like clearly there's like just people are market buying, like no one else. But it took like a good solid 12 hours or so, I think, for the price to actually like appreciate substantial amounts.
Now, for our viewers who don't understand how the system works, tell us how you create a future on a share that's not yet listed.
Yeah, so there's sort of two things you can do. One is you can literally just launch a futures contract before the underlying exists, like a quarterly future, if you're pretty sure it's going to exist by the time it expires, right? And then just cash expire it to the price at the time. That's not what we did here, although that would have been a reasonable thing to do. Instead, we basically listed a sort of like pseudo future, which automatically just turned into the stock if and when the stock listed. And so basically, it was, as soon as the stock lists, it rolls into just like one share of the stock, and like until then, it's some it's like market cap divided by number of shares, or like something which is not technically exactly price, but it's basically price. But the core of it is basically just like something which is physically settled into shares as soon as it lists.
Alrighty, and I see that you're doing something similar on cannabis stocks, on marijuana stocks. Tell us a little bit about what you guys are up to there.
Yeah, I think basically like it was just like a lot of people wanted them. It's like one of our most requested stock categories. And we could do it, so we did. I think that's like basically the answer there is like people wanted it, and like we sort of like looked into it, like, yeah, we can do that, nothing's stopping us. I think a lot of the time when we list these things, we don't fucking know how popular they're going to be. Like, we don't know if this is going to be like the biggest thing we've ever launched, or like no one gives a shit, and it's all over the place, and that's okay. It's you can do as many polls as you want. People don't. It's like very difficult to get a really good sense of what's going to trade, and I think people like often mistake that. People often think they know, but we often have like very strong and compelling reasons to think that like the conventional wisdom is not quite right about what people are actually in trade. Well, like, often we just don't know, and so whatever, it seemed plausible. It seemed like it would make customers happy. Some people would want it, and maybe it gets huge, and that's plenty for us to list it. And you can trade if you want, and not if you don't want to. So I think there's some things where like, geez, we really want to find a way to do this, like however way we can, because we think it's going to be huge. I think Trump futures were a good example of that. Like, we knew no matter what they're going.
I watched that. And the day before, the Trump futures were kind of like 50-50, or maybe slightly swayed in Biden's favor. And then I watched that cliff where all of a sudden it became a Trump thing. And then all of a sudden it came back up. It was crazy watching.
It was completely crazy. It's reacting extremely quickly. It's like the most fast reacting thing to news also probably overreacting to news. In the world, it's like good news would come out for Trump to just like swing 30% in his favor in like a few minutes, and so that's sort of very exciting and stressful to watch in real time, to see it sort of fluctuating around, and sort of to be there like what the fuck's going on, like did something just happen we don't know about? Is this just like enormous number of Trump fans? Is the election over now? If it's over, which direction it's over? And it's sort of like very unclear at many points during the night what was, what the right interpretation was.
Crazy, but I guess that's the beauty of futures and derivatives. Guys, I see you loving this. I see the comments, but please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. I see I got Charlie Lee in the waiting room. We're going to bring him in here. We're going to be talking a lot about Litecoin today. I do have a lot more that I want to speak to Sam about. Sam, today, are you guys the biggest crypto derivatives exchange in the world?
We're not the biggest. We're probably number 4 or 5. It's, I'm pretty happy with where, given that we've only been around for a year, but certainly I'd like to be number 1. I mean, who wouldn't? And I think like it's going to be a grind upwards. I mean, we've certainly seen that. It's like we were founded way after the other crypto derivatives exchanges, and so it takes time. And I think the biggest thing is just like it takes time for someone to decide that they're going to try out FTX. It's like everyone kind of pokes their head out of the water every few years and like considers trying a new exchange. And it's just like this few-year half-life, like slow grind up of people trying it. But we've been pretty excited with the growth. But look, we're not the only ones.
Excited with the growth. I've tried the platform. The platform's absolutely amazing. In fact, full confession, I actually traded the Trump-Biden futures the day before the election. Yeah, it was crazy, and I made and lost a lot of money very quickly. I think I kind of got away even, but I could have lost a lot more.
Yep.
I know you're a big DeFi. I know you're a big DeFi fan. I know you're one of the people that came out in the beginning, and you spoke on Pump's podcast about how you are big. You like the yield farming game and you like the DeFi game, but FTX is not decentralized. FTX, no matter which way you look at it, is very centralized. Do you think that DeFi is like a big threat to where you guys are at today? Do you see DeFi, a DeFi version or a decentralized version of FTX as a threat?
I mean, the first answer is who knows? Like, we'll see what happens. And I don't think the answer here is obvious. I think anyone who's like, oh, yeah, this is definitely the answer, like, don't listen to them. Like, they're just overconfident. But if I had to guess, I think what I would say is not exactly. I think that there's just like, they're different products. And I think that like, it's going to be very, very, very difficult for a decentralized ecosystem to ever have some aspects of what FTX has. And I think like one sort of like strong argument for that is that like, you can just never have latency less than like 100 milliseconds. In DeFi, because even if you do everything right, like that's how long it takes light to travel around the world. And so if you want to be geographically decentralized, like it's not going to be the highest, the lowest latency matching engine in the world. And there's going to be some things that are like very hard to pull off on it. On the other hand, there are some things that are really enormous that DeFi can do that are very hard to do in centralized finance. And I think like, building a great exchange, like the world's best exchange, is like a good fit for a centralized exchange. I think building the world's largest crypto ecosystem is a much better fit for DeFi, because it's not just you, it's a ton of people building, and all these building blocks can combine together and plug into each other and grow off of each other. I think that's just extremely powerful. And so I think that like, yeah.
That takes us to a good place. And probably the next thing is to ask you, what do you find the most interesting DeFi projects out there today? What are the ones that you're keeping your eye on and you feel are the most interesting ones?
I mean, obviously for me, the stuff I'm looking at most is Serum. Serum, it's a decentralized ecosystem that I helped that I helped build out, built on Solana. And really sort of shtick is like, what would you have to do if you want to get 1 billion people in a DeFi ecosystem? What would that take? Why don't we do all those things and see if we can get there? And
Serum is amazing. The usability of Serum is absolutely amazing. The speed of Serum is amazing. I mean, tell us a little bit more about Serum. I'm also quite excited about that project.
Yeah. So Serum, the original Serum DEX that was launched, it's like in some senses it's a simple product. It's like it's a DEX, but in some senses it's pretty miraculous just how much further along it is in some ways than other DEXs. It's a fully on-chain decentralized exchange, a fully on-chain order book and matching engine, plays limit orders, market orders. It just has a fully functional matching engine, and it's not like an off-chain centralized matching engines, all on chain, and it takes a fraction of a second to do a trade. Gas costs are, you know, 1/100th of a penny, and those are just things that blow all the other dexes out of the water by orders of magnitude. And
Agree.
you know,
Agree.
it's yeah.
I agree with you on all of those points. I love Serum. Just in the interest of time, were you ever bullish, and are you still bullish on Sushi Swap? I know that you got
Right.
the keys. You got the keys to the treasury kind of unexpectedly.
Right.
Did you ever like the project? Do you like the project?
It's a good question, and obviously it's always a question of relative to what. There are things that I really like about it. Obviously, there are things that are fucked up about it too. That's clearly true, but there are things that are really good about it. And I think the world service is realizing them. They're always true. It's just like it sort of like has come back out into prominence, which is that it's building. I mean, if you look at all the dexes on Ethereum, right? You're saying like which are actively adding more features, which are actively building. I think Sushi Swap's just blowing them all out of the water. Like Sushi Swap's gonna have like, and he has limit orders now. It's got a margin trading soon. It's gone through a bunch of UI revamps, which are pretty sweet. It's been doing a lot of BD work. It's been forming partnerships. It's just been moving at like 30 times the speed of other dexes on Ethereum, and I really appreciate that. And I think that like it's you know, it had unbelievably bad PR, like really atrocious, because you know, Nomigate, and you know, a sort of associated price falling. And I think that like it's hard to combat that and hard to recover from that.
It couldn't have got off to a worse start, but it has
really
recovered. It's rebuilt the community.
Yeah.
All right, we've got time for 1 or 2 more projects that you like, and then I've got Charlie Lee, which I'm going to bring in from Litecoin. 1 or 2 more DeFi projects that you like, or maybe not even DeFi projects, just projects that you're watching. I want to give the community a feel for, you know, what Sam is thinking.
Yeah, I'm really excited for, I mean, a lot of the new projects which are being built in the Serum ecosystem. And so if you go to projectserum.com, there's a page that lists some of these. But I think that they're just really cool. And I think like to go through, and there's Bonfida, which is live, and Token is launching this week, which is like a really slick portal to the entire Serum ecosystem. There's Oxygen, which is an on-chain prime brokerage. It's super sophisticated and super fast and efficient. There's Maps, which might be like the largest app in the entire crypto world. And then there's Media, which I think is like unbelievably well built out. I think it's going to be a little while before they're, you know, you see like a token launch or anything from them, but it's a really sick online on-chain streaming protocol. And then I think more coming. So I think all of them are pretty cool.
Amazing, Sam. The comments are going wild here. I'm going to ask you 1 or 2 more questions.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most positive news that we've had in this bull market? There's so much coming out every day. You got Guggenheim coming up. What's the one piece of news where you looked at the news and you said, hold on a second, this is the game changer?
GBTC NAV. I mean, they're all of the same kind. Like all of these things are similar. They're all just different ways of saying the institutions are not piling in, but they're testing the water. They're actually testing it this time, and they're actually trickling in. And I think like as opposed to 2017 when they're all like looking on from the outside, this time they're actually starting to invest some. But if you look at the numbers here, I mean, a lot of them are big, but GBTC blows the others out of the water. It's like $10 billion this year that's been added to GBTC. That's a lot.
Speaking of GBTC, I've got Charlie Lee with us. Charlie, can you hear us? I can see you. I wonder if you can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, speaking of GBTC NAV, I mean, I think the more impressive thing is Litecoin NAV, or the Grayscale Litecoin NAV. That's also been springing up quite a bit.
Yeah, it's what, LTCN? The amount of the price of it versus the NAV is ridiculous, right? It's like 10 times or something like that. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
it's absolutely crazy. How do you think one could justify buying that as opposed to just opening an account on a Coinbase or on any other exchange and actually just going and holding physical Litecoin? I mean, surely people can't pay a premium that is so big.
Well, GBTC and ETHE was also like this big initially, right? So it's just that like institutions can't go to Coinbase to buy Bitcoin and hold it themselves, so they use a product like GBTC or LTCN.
I'm going to bring you back in a few more minutes, in a few seconds. Sam, I have one more question for you, and that is, what is the worst news that you've heard, or stuff that's on your radar, and you're looking at this as someone in the community? If I'm not mistaken, you are based in Hong Kong, right?
Yep.
So as someone based in Hong Kong, when you look at the world today, the crypto world today, what is the piece of news or the threat or the cloud that's hanging over everyone where you're going, if that happens, we've got a seriously big problem?
I'll just give two very quickly. One of them is very severe regulation. I think like some regulations coming, that's inevitable, but there's a question of whether it's going to be, sort of like working with the industry, trying to come up with, with guidelines that allow it to thrive while also making sure that the really bad things are impeded. And there's another version where it basically outlaws crypto, or at least most of crypto. And I think it's like legitimately unclear in some jurisdictions where that's going to end up. And I think like you see some jerks in both directions. But like if like the United States and China both end up doing a really strict crackdown on crypto, that'd be really bad. So I think that's sort of one thing. And then the other thing they'll say very quickly is there's a ton of leveraged longs right now, just enormous amounts. This is not 10 million people getting into the industry all buying for their first Bitcoin. This is 10 people buying their millionth Bitcoin. And it's just like, what happens if there's a crash? Is there going to be a cascade? If that happens, how big is the downside risk?
There's a lot of leverage. I actually also noticed that people are getting very confident in this bull market.
Yeah.
Chris from mmcrypto said earlier that people are overconfident in this market. We are overbought, and people just seem to be buying and opening more and more leveraged positions, and that can come crashing down like a house of cards. Sam, I could carry on talking to you forever, and these comments are going absolutely crazy, but we've got to bring in Charlie Lee to respect his time. So thank you very much for coming on Crypto Banter. We will get you on again as soon as possible. The lines are going crazy. I've got, just to give you an idea, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in the waiting room to get into the waiting room. So we are there's a lot going on here, but we'll bring you back here and we'll give everybody the chance to actually speak to you. We're going to move on with the show. Sam, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Charlie Lee, great pleasure to see you again, my friend. How are you?
Good. How's it going, Rand?
Fantastic. I think also the last time we saw each other was probably at a conference somewhere in Taiwan, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, kind of like the last physical conference that went on before COVID.
Are you missing the conference circuit? Are you missing the traveling?
No, I'm not. It's nice to not be able to go to conferences, but stuck at home is also not fun either. Yeah, but I do. Yeah, it'll be interesting when we get COVID back under control and we can start doing crypto conferences again.
When do you think this happens? I mean, there's a vaccine now. A lot of people are getting vaccinated. My friends in London, my friends in the US, telling me that they're starting to get vaccinated. I've heard some predictions that in 3 months there'll be conferences again. Do you think that's ridiculous?
Yeah, I don't think it will be in 3 months. I think it's going to take longer than that. We're still not sure about where and when we're going to be holding our next Litecoin Summit, and also the Magical Crypto Conference. We don't know if we'll be able to do it in May, so we'll see. But 3 months is a bit too optimistic in my point of view.
All righty, amazing. Let's talk about Litecoin, because I guess that's what everybody wants to talk about now. And I think for those viewers who are really new to crypto, Litecoin is a fork of Bitcoin. It's much quicker than Bitcoin. And I think instead of clearing every 10 minutes, it clears every 2.5 minutes. Am I right, Charlie? Are my numbers right?
You're right.
And it's always been people said it's like a test net for Bitcoin. First, Litecoin will implement things, then Bitcoin will implement things. But now when I look at Litecoin, it's actually not like that anymore. It's actually like Litecoin's taken a identity of its own, and it's not like this younger brother to Bitcoin. Am I reading it right?
Different people see Litecoin in different ways, right? I think it's always going to be like the silver to Bitcoin's gold, or a younger brother, or testnet. It's just it does different things, but in the end, it just works, right? Litecoin works as a means of transferring value, which is the most important thing, and it's been working for 9+ years nonstop.
And tell us about like key things that are happening that excite you on Litecoin. I mean, there's been a lot of news about Litecoin lately, but give us 1 or 2 things that really excite you about the direction.
Yeah, so one of the most exciting things is PayPal announced that right now they're letting people buy and sell Litecoin on PayPal. I think that's going to be huge. Next year, they're going to be launching crypto support on Venmo, and also like on all their merchants, letting merchants accept crypto. I think that's going to be huge for the retail side of things. And we talked about LTCN, right? Litecoin Trust on Grayscale Litecoin Trust. I think that's huge. Right now, the price is just ridiculous. There's a lot of demand for it. So that's great. And then I guess the third thing that is huge that we're working on is adding fungibility to Litecoin. Right? We're working on MWeb, which is a Mimblewimble extension block soft fork that is likely going to launch next year. And that's going to add fungibility and privacy. And I'm very excited about that.
So that is, everyone's saying that, again, that's one of the places where Litecoin's kind of broken away from Bitcoin. I don't think that's part of the Bitcoin roadmap, but that certainly is something. What made you go with that decision, or what was the thinking behind that decision? Do you want to bring anonymity to Litecoin?
I see it more as fungibility. So I've always realized that fungibility is one of the kind of the main features of good money that is missing in Bitcoin and Litecoin. And that's something that I want to improve. And fungibility, to have fungibility, you kind of need privacy. So they go hand in hand, and that's why I'm working on it for Litecoin.
When you look at, say, I'm going to call it terminal point, but what I'm saying is let's look a little bit forward with Litecoin. Do you see Litecoin as like the cash payments equivalent? So Bitcoin really has cemented itself or become this like store of value. I guess now it's become this, anti-dollar printing inflation coin. And that's why all the institutions are starting to look at it. In a few years, when the institutions look at Litecoin, what are they going to see? Are they seeing a currency? Are they seeing silver to Bitcoin's gold?
I wouldn't know what they would be seeing. I mean, it's people see different things in Litecoin, right? So I do think the silver to Bitcoin's gold resonates with people. I see Litecoin as kind of a payments coin, but it also serves as a store of value. So it's kind of like a hybrid, right? And I think Litecoin kind of works well with Bitcoin together.
Let me ask you this question. If everyone brings up the example of paying for coffee. So, you can't pay for your Starbucks coffee using Bitcoin. There's a lot of reasons for that, tax reasons and how long it would take for the transaction to go through. But who wins the crypto cash or the crypto payments game? Is it Litecoin? Is it Bitcoin with the Lightning Network on top of it or alongside it? Is it Bcash? Is it something else that isn't yet out there?
I don't think there will be like one winner, right? I don't think it's a one winner takes all. I think Litecoin works well. I think Bitcoin with Lightning also works well. They'll have different use cases for them. I think there's always going to be a demand for something that is cheaper and faster on chain than Bitcoin, and I think Litecoin takes that role.
And when you compare Litecoin to something like, for example, a Bitcoin Cash, I mean, Bitcoin Cash is not heading for any kind of store of value. Bitcoin Cash is heading up to become a cash, or at least that's what some of the people in the community say. Like, when you look at the two of them and you understand the technology quite well on both of them, and I know it's hard for you to pick one, but tell me why. Tell me, I know for sure you're going to say it's Litecoin, but tell me why.
I think network stability matters a lot. Longevity of Litecoin is also very important. And you see with Bitcoin Cash, there's hard forks all the time, and there's contentious hard forks. There have been 2 contentious hard forks already that destabilized the network, split the community in pieces, and having like a unstable kind of network is just disaster for money, right? You can't have merchants stop accepting the coin when or exchanges stop trading it when there's a potential conflicting hard fork. And I think that's just going to continue because the community is always, the Bitcoin Cash community is kind of like that, right? They forked off of Bitcoin because of disagreement, and there's always going to be disagreement if you can't find consensus.
Yeah, and Litecoin, I mean, I don't recall a contentious fork in Litecoin's history. Has there been one, or am I not remembering?
No, Litecoin has been pretty consistent. I think that's all. One of the reasons for that is because I'm around, right? So there's like a fork saying this is the real Litecoin, but I can just come out and say, no, that's not the real Litecoin. And people will believe me more than some random guy, right? But with Satoshi not being around, you have Roger Ver claiming Bitcoin Cash is a real Bitcoin, and it's hard. And plus, he owns like Bitcoin.com. It's hard. It confuses the community, the market. So we haven't had that in Litecoin, which is great.
Okay, so I have to ask you this question because I think you knew it was going to come up, and I've asked you this before, but the viewers are asking. They've asked it on the Twitter, and they say, is he really around when he made it public that he sold all his tokens at the all-time high? And I'm not going to comment about how you call the all-time high, but what incentivizes you? What is it that gives people the comfort that Charlie Lee is going to continue to be around?
It's a good question. First of all, I don't think people should need the comfort that I'm going to continue to be around, because this is in the end a decentralized cryptocurrency, right? So there shouldn't be, it doesn't need a central figure for it to succeed. And I actually think a central figure in the end will hurt things. So that said, I may not be financially invested in the coin, but I am fully invested in the success of Litecoin, right? It's kind of like my legacy. If Litecoin fails, then I'm seen as a failure, right? So I am more invested in Litecoin than anyone else involved, right? So no matter how many Litecoin you own, I'm more invested in Litecoin.
I see this. I mean, that says that Charlie is the best. There's so many of these amazing comments here. Absolutely amazing. For the Litecoin community, if you're here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, give us your comments. That's how more people will hear about the show and how more people will hear about the project. All right. Now, I want to break away from Bitcoin, and I want to break away from Litecoin, and I want to break away from Bitcoin Cash. I know you've been around for a while. I know Charlie Lee, I've spoken to you many times, and we've met at many conferences. What other projects are you looking at? What other projects are you excited about?
It's good. I don't know. I mean, I'm focused on crypto and Litecoin. So you're asking about anything that's not crypto related or what?
Well, no, I mean, crypto related. I mean, surely, Litecoin has a purpose, and the purpose of Litecoin is payments and a store of value and potentially silver to Bitcoin's gold. But surely you look at this ecosystem, and surely you look at things like Monero and Ethereum and maybe some of the DeFi projects, and you go, hold on a second, that's really interesting.
To be honest, I'm focused on Litecoin and kind of the payments part. But I do see Ethereum, what they're doing is kind of interesting. We'll see how successful they are with their move to proof of stake in the Ethereum 2.0. Let's see what else. Well, I'm always fond of Monero. I think it's one of the really good cryptocurrencies that's doing privacy right. I'm actually surprised Monero market cap wise hasn't been doing it as well as other coins have.
But I think it's because, now we're getting into the place where people are looking at crypto, and legislation is definitely coming. I mean, we saw today, I don't know if you're watching the show, but let's just bring back the headlines just to show it to the viewers who weren't watching the show. And that was a story which was broken by FinTech Frank over at The Block. And this is the Treasury said to weigh crypto to crypto transactions and really getting people to white label their self-hosted wallets. Now, that's scary, but that kind of shows that crypto is no joke. Listed companies on the stock exchange are buying crypto. Grayscale is buying crypto, and a lot of investors or unaccredited investors are now holding crypto as a result of this. And so legislation is probably real, and legislation is probably going to hurt the privacy sector the most.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing crackdown on privacy coins, but I think they work differently, right? So like a coin like Monero is kind of, you're using it like outside of regulation. So having exchanges being regulated more actually helps Monero.
Because Monero is like the anti-establishment. It's like the it's like the anti thing. When you look at the news now, there's been a hell of a lot of news about crypto, all positive. What do you think is the most positive news? When you looked at the news and you heard this piece of news, what was it that you said, wow, that's big, and if that happens, that's amazing?
Two things, right? On the retail side, I think the PayPal announcement was huge, right? If you told me PayPal is going to support crypto in like 3-4 years ago, I'd be like crazy. That is crazy, right? And then it happened. And it's also crazy that they support Litecoin, which totally like blew my mind that they would launch Litecoin from the start. On the institutional side, I think the MicroStrategy announcement is huge, right? It's kind of started a snowball rolling, and it's not stopping. We're seeing announcements like every day of new large firms or large funds putting percent of their like their treasury into Bitcoin, and it's huge, right? There's trillions of dollars out there that can potentially go into Bitcoin.
Absolutely. I must say, I agree with you. If you were to say to me, what are the two biggest news items for crypto in 2020? I would have said exactly what you just said. When I say exactly, one is, who would have thought PayPal, with, I don't know if it's 350 million users, but it's somewhere close to 350 million users, would come out publicly in the beginning of a bull market and say, hey, we're now integrating or incorporating crypto into our offering. And then, I don't know if you saw this, but it was live, like, when they made the announcement, it was live already.
It was live for some people, but then they launched it live like a few weeks later to everyone, right? Now, if you go to paypal.com, you log in, the first thing you see is buy crypto. It's crazy.
And then I must say, I was as surprised as probably you were to hear that Litecoin was actually part of it. Did you get any wind that Litecoin was going to be part of it? Or did you read the headlines just like we read the headlines?
I did get wind of it. I have a friend that beta tested it, and he told me about this about, I think, a month before they launched. So that was very exciting. The coolest part for this is that this is one of the biggest companies that support Litecoin that I didn't actually talk to. Right? They didn't come out and reach out to me. I didn't beg them to support Litecoin. So it didn't need me involved, and they supported Litecoin because Litecoin is a good cryptocurrency and something that they feel like it's good to support.
Sure, I must say, absolutely incredible. And then the last piece of news, obviously, was MicroStrategy. I love the MicroStrategy news. Michael Saylor came out, and he really created this new movement. And now, if you look at the news, you're getting a whole lot of these institutions taking cheap shots to try and get crypto news headlines. We invested $15 million. We're a pension fund, and now all of a sudden they want exposure. I guess it's become like the cool thing.
It's like back in 2017, changing your company name to add blockchain to it helps pump the price. Today, exactly. Owning Bitcoin is the right thing to do. Not owning it is the risky move.
Yeah, 100%. Of course, I think now if you don't own Bitcoin and you're managing other people's money, I think you've got a big problem, because you need to explain to people why you were so slow to get onto Bitcoin. I'm going to bring in two people to our conversation. I'm going to bring in Adrian Bashuk. Adrian Bashuk is our producer. He produced this show. He also produced my CNBC Crypto Trader show. You may remember him. I'm also going to bring in Coach K. And guys, I want to talk about Litecoin, and I want to talk about what the socials are saying about Litecoin. And then, Coach, I want to see the Litecoin chart. Because the last time we had Crypto Burb here in the studio, he said Litecoin was a raging buy. That was at about $80. I haven't checked the price today, but I can imagine it must be close to $100. What is the price of Litecoin today, Coach?
Yeah, it was 108 the last time I checked, just a little while ago. Let's check just quickly.
I'm just reminding all of you that Bitcoin has breached its all-time high, and Litecoin is about at 25% of its all-time high, as is Ethereum. So there's probably a long way to go.
Yeah, we have a really beautiful chart on Litecoin too. Can you see it,
Charlie? Do you ever look at the charts and the price? Does that interest you at all?
It's hard to ignore the price, right? People who tell you they don't look at price, they're probably just lying. It's definitely hard to ignore the price. I check it like hourly, right? So
I love it.
He's a trader and he plays poker, so he must check the chart.
The price basically tells you how kind of successful your project, your product is, right? So it's the market like telling you how well you're doing. Obviously it doesn't correlate like 1-to-1, but it's a good indication.
All right. So what's the market saying about what Litecoin and the Litecoin Foundation are doing? The Litecoin Foundation are doing amazing things. I must say, also dealing with the Litecoin Foundation is an absolute pleasure relative to some of the other projects. All right, okay. Wow, I'm looking at this chart. It looks like I should be getting excited.
I like that. I like the arrow.
All right, so we're looking at this is the arrow that was going towards this level. We just have to look at the levels that we came down from after the halving, basically. So we had the halving, there was a nice run up, and then it kind of started coming down. And then I just I drew these levels like way back, just saw them, and I also drew this level way back here. So we're looking at a couple levels that aren't really too far away to come up to back to 147, 136, 123. They're pretty solid levels. And I drew this way back here. I thought, if we're going to break out, it was just before we dipped, but I still kept that arrow there. I thought, if we break out this level, we'll come and retest and we'll go higher. And if you guys have been following Litecoin for the last week, or at least the last few days, Litecoin likes to follow Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was going on a pretty strong run. So we see that run, and we kind of bounced, and there we go. We just started moving, had some nice big candles. Litecoin, Bitcoin, gold, silver, both of them follow each other.
I'm looking at this and I'm going, this is overbought, and this is a reflection of the whole market being overbought. Coach, am I right?
Absolutely. But the thing is, remember, overbought, like people look at RSI a lot of the time and they go, oh, well, it's overbought. But we can be overbought. I mean, last bull run, we were overbought for weeks. It doesn't always, it's not always the only thing you have to look at. I'm looking at here.
Dow Jones has been overbought since mid-April.
Yeah. And like I said last time, it's just look at the chart and play the levels. If we lose this level, yeah, we probably come back down to where I have my signal at $85. But if we hold this level and we don't break it, and we do, one of these where we kind of test it a couple times and we break up, then I'm expecting us to go to $123. And I did tell you, about Bitcoin, that I thought that around today, the day was today, that we would probably top out and come down. I might be wrong, but so far it's looking like it's possible. But we're still holding above that 22. So it looks pretty good for Bitcoin still going into the holidays. And I think like mmcrypto, Chris was saying, we're looking pretty good for alts to start running. And I think Litecoin will probably, like before, restart the alt season again like it has in the past.
All right, Coach, I'm going to remove a chart. I'm going to bring in Dudes with us. He's also live with us. I want to ask you guys all a question, and it's not going to be a price prediction, because I think that anyone who tries to predict price is an asshole. I used to predict prices, so I used to also be an asshole. The reason for that is you've got about 1 billion times more chance of getting it wrong than right. And if you do Twitter will remind you forever, just like they remind me of my call that I said at the end of 2017, Bitcoin will be at $50,000. And they remind me every time that I mention Charlie Lee that he sold his Litecoin at the top. You could only say that he was lucky or maybe he was a genius, but that's right. What I want to ask you guys is, what causes the next market pullback? Legislation. When are we expecting a pullback? We've been going up for a long time. We've gone up all the way from $5,000 pretty much in a straight line on the 23rd of May. And now we're at 20, 23, 24. We haven't seen a 30% correction in a while. When does the 30% correction come, and what causes it? Charlie, any ideas? Anything that's on your radar? Any gray clouds?
No one can really predict the price, right? So I think the pullback will come eventually. You can't just keep going up forever. So it will pull back, it will consolidate, and then it will probably take another run up. Who knows when that's going to happen?
Alrighty. Ali, we're going to let you go because we're going to get into the next segment of the show, which is all about trading, altcoins, DeFi. There's lots of stuff going to be here. I know you're going to be watching, and I know you're going to be writing this down so that you can take some big positions. But thank you. I think the next time that I'm going to meet you is probably going to be at a poker tournament, at a charity poker tournament, and this time I'm actually going to beat you. So we'll chat again.
You'll try. Yeah,
Charlie, great to see you. Thank you, man. All righty, let's get to the segment of the show which we love the most. And this is where we talk about the DeFi coins, and we talk about the altcoins, and we talk about what to buy and what to sell. Coach K, yesterday I nearly killed you because I took a Zilliqa position because of you. And then Bitcoin went for a ride. And this morning I woke up and my Zilliqa position is back in the money. So must I hold my Zilliqa or must I sell my Zilliqa?
I'm still holding my Zilliqa. The technicals are there. It didn't invalidate. So I'll put my chart on again to remind people why I was in that position in the first place. So we had a Kumo breakout. It was nice and strong. It actually hit my first target at 200. But what's really weird when this happened was it hit 200, and for some reason I for some reason, I guess I was front run by other orders that were already sitting on the order book, and I didn't actually get filled. So I was like, all right, cool, no problem. It came back down, and I had my stop, just a little bit, pretty much at the Kijinsen. And I was like, I was watching it, I had this, so it should have stopped out. I don't know. Maybe I actually put it at the Kijinsen actually. And so it came down, and I was like, I didn't really like it, but I was like, I'm going to hold it. I'm going to wait. And then I also had this trend line here that it came down to and tapped and went back up. So I was a little bit nervous too. I wasn't nervous because I would lose a 1% trade, not a big deal. I was just like, man, I don't understand why this is happening. I looked at Bitcoin, it was doing its thing. So what I would look for today, if I'm going to jump out of this trade, is that this actually doesn't close the daily outside of the cloud. It doesn't close outside the cloud. It could fail, but we could also wait and see if we do a 3 inside up type of trade here. It does have a lot of strength. And when I looked at the US dollar pair, that's what kind of made me feel like, oh, we're doing fine. What am I worried about? In Bitcoin terms, it looks bad.
No. The US dollar is not doing fine. The dollar index, the Dixie as they call it, is that.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Horrible. I mean, I don't know if you watch that.
Absolutely. It's part of the alpha, right? We look at this, and I've been looking at this going, wow, it's coming down to 88,424. We go back and we look at technical levels way back here.
For our viewers who don't know what we're talking about here, we're talking about the dollar index, and this is the relative strength of the dollar. And basically, this shows how much the dollar is appreciating or depreciating. And if you look at this graph, it basically shows that the dollar hasn't been this weak since about 2018. Am I right there, Coach? Is it about
You're correct. And over here, I actually at the 94, just under 94, I actually drew this arrow. You might be able to see it if I come up. I drew it here, and other people are like, ha, like Twitter, like you were saying, people are like, you're wrong. Ha. It doesn't matter how much you're right. They'll always laugh at you when you're wrong that one time or 2 times or 10 times. You're going to have runs. You're going to have losses. But I was like, this is going to come down to at least this level. And people are like, no, you're wrong. It came up, it retested this level, and it broke down. And ever since then, it's just been on this free fall. It's kind of funny because if you look at the US dollar index, and this is a good alpha for you guys that are traders out here. And if you're not looking at the US dollar index, look at the US dollar index, look at gold, and look at Bitcoin. I'll show you a little something. What do you see? You see the US dollar index going down. People are taking their money and taking them out of dollars, and you see the dollar or the Bitcoins, and you see the Ethereums, and you see gold all starting to rise a bit. But another thing that I like to watch is the YM, which is also the Japanese yen, which is strong against the US dollar. So if you're not a trader who looks at Forex pairs, it's just something that can give you a little bit of an edge. You can kind of see what the world is showing you. If the US dollar is weakening against other currencies, that could give you an indication that, there's some weakness in the US. Is it weak? Is it weaker everywhere? Well, no. Japan has a lot of strength right now. So not the YM, sorry, the Japanese yen. I was in the wrong one. Sorry, but we see that. And then another thing, while we're looking at it, we see the stock market going up. We see the SPX going up. Why is there all-time high after new all-time high after new all-time high? Well, people are taking dollars and they're putting it somewhere else that can give them more value. They might be putting it in Tesla. They might put it
in Bitcoin. They're putting it in Bitcoin, and you should be putting your money into Bitcoin because there's no way that they can continue to print money and not devalue the dollar. They are devaluing the dollar, and I believe this is where I agree with Peter Schiff, saying that by the end of next year we're going to seriously get it. But Coach, what I want now is I want to bring Dude in because Dude, I've been following of your calls, calls. You're new to our show. Yes. For anyone who's looking for Dude, it's at Dude Signals. Speaking of at Dude Signals, Dude, what are you watching?
So for right now, in terms of altcoins, I'm watching many altcoins, but I'll get first to Bitcoin and Ethereum because I think they are the biggest ones right now that we should keep an eye because I think there's a huge game changer right now where we are seeing Bitcoin looking for a correction and Ethereum going for a run. I can share my screen here, so
let's share your screen. Before you share your screen, guys, okay. I see you all in the comments. I'm going to bring all the comments in, but I need you guys to do something for me. If you're here and you're watching, take a second and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell. Because when you do that, it powers us, it gives us the energy to continue. It also makes the show more distributed across the YouTube platform. And when that happens, we can bring you much more crypto-related content. And that's what we want to do. We want to bring you 24/7, 365 crypto-related programming. We want you to be able to sit at your desk, have your headphones in, and just hear crypto news like traders hear CNBC when they trade. All right, dude, I'm going to bring your chart onto the screen.
Okay.
Holy moly, that's a detail.
So I actually brought here a few charts. I bought in the short term. I brought the short term chart and the long term one. So for Bitcoin here, I expect here I had a target of 23K, and it's already hit. I already hit the target. And for right now, I suspect that it's probably gonna go sideways or drop to these area here. I'm pointing.
That's not a very serious drop. I mean, if I look at that drop,
no,
you're saying
it's more like just a correction. I don't think it's gonna drop below 20K and then keep dropping crazy. I don't think it's the time for it. But in terms of a bull run, I really don't expect it to keep slowing down and correcting insane, because if you just broke an all-time high, you don't want to see it just stopping the price action. It gotta keep very high momentum. Otherwise, it will probably lose the all-time high momentum, right? And we don't want to see that, because otherwise it can be a huge bull trap. And indeed, that would cause a massive correction, maybe the 30% correction you're expecting. But in the short term, I expect something easy.
Let me be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm very bored with Bitcoin charts, and I'm even more bored with Ethereum charts.
Yeah. No,
but let's summarize this. Let's summarize this very quickly. You're saying that Bitcoin goes sideways. If it doesn't go sideways, it drops, and if it drops,
it's likely just gonna stop right now. It's gonna stop for a while, and I just wanted to show this because if we go to Ethereum here, I'm expecting it to rise at least to $700, and finally, if we go to Bitcoin dominance, we are finally seeing a possible double top here, which will probably cause a massive altcoins run. That's what I'm expecting. So, and for that's
now
what
we talk.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get in.
This is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want to hear. So, what you're saying is the Bitcoin dominance has hit a double top. Now that is an amazing sign. That means that it's going to be alt season just around Christmas time.
Yeah, I expected next week to start. It's already Ethereum is already starting to flip. Bitcoin, as you can see here, it's already starting to flip a little. I think it's gonna start changing that in the next week. We're gonna see a massive altcoins run. They are very, very undervalued compared to Bitcoin, especially the big ones as well.
You won't believe what's going on in the comments and in the waiting room. As soon as they saw the chart, people are going crazy, man. People are All right, so we're expecting
confirmed, right?
We're expecting it. Listen, if dude said that alt season is coming and coach nodded, and I saw coach nodding, people are taking their profits from Bitcoin and they're going to look. My altcoins, my DeFi coins, and my altcoins have been killed in the last couple of days because Bitcoin basically did a vampire attack and sucked out all the money, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it made me get this feeling in my stomach of what the hell have I done by investing in altcoins again? Did I not learn the lesson in 2017?
I have there's a little thing here. So depending on where you invest, so you probably, if you bought these centralized coins, let's say coins that are in Binance, FTX, and the big ones, they probably dropped because they are kind of like very controlled because they have bigger sizes and they follow a lot the pattern. If the altcoins are dropping, they're probably gonna drop as well. But if you go to Uniswap coins and coins that are still in the biggest exchanges, they actually didn't suffer much. So I'm gonna say here, different from altcoins actually went up the last weeks. Although it's nothing compared to let's say 2017 bull run, for sure.
Master, that's
Ren,
such an
Ren,
interesting.
Ren, can we jump in here? And it's great to talk theory. Can we talk some actual tokens and coins and where price and momentum is going? We've got so much momentum. We've talked Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. Let's talk where positions are being staked. Let's get to the real goods here.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Dude,
so
what do you got? 3 calls, buddy.
That's the next baby.
Who should start here? I have some.
You go ahead. 3 calls.
Okay.
Signals.
So for the long term here, for the mid and long term, I expect Injective to be one of the biggest ones. It's already had a massive run. This is just nothing really to see here. You can already see.
Are we at the top? Are we at the top on Injective?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of valuation, that's what I'm saying. This is more like a midterm play. I think Injective is gonna be worth much more in terms of valuation, etc. Of course, the short term, it already passed the dip, so maybe not a good time to get in right now. Of course. So there are more short term plays. Of course, there are. I like to sport nowadays. I'm not so much of a day trader guy anymore. I like to play more the swing trading. In the swing trading, I'll probably get in maybe on Sand here, which is having a massive ascending triangle here. And it's
hold on. So you're saying
Injective?
Let's just slow 1 sec. So you're saying Injective. You're saying it's a long-term buy and hold. Coach K, Injective, long-term buy and hold.
I wouldn't be buying in now per se. I would wait for it to pull back. It's gone on a pretty parabolic move.
Yeah.
So I would be waiting a little bit, but do I see the fundamentals behind it? Yes, absolutely. But I wouldn't get in right this second if I was looking at the chart.
All right, dude. Your next call is.
No, this one here is Sand. This one is a mid-term call, short-term one. This is a good entry right now, probably. Different from Injective, which is a more like a mid-term, long-term play. This one is more like a short-term, mid-term one, safer one, because it's already close to breakout, and it's likely gonna have like a 30% one or something. It's already a mid-cap, so it's not a type of gamble, let's say. So you won't be like getting too much risk.
Adrian, when you look at the social airwaves, has Sand come up? I mean, I must say I've never heard of Sand.
In that sort of mid cap, but it's not brand new. It's not off of pre-sale price. You're getting in on I mean, it's kind of an early low cap major that could run, but it's not the early stuff where people are getting in at the bottom just yet.
Coach K, Sand.
Yeah, an NFT play. It's new and hot NFTs, gaming. CZ's trick play that everyone thought was going to be a DeFi coin. So yeah, it definitely had some hype. The chart looks not too bad, but there's a couple that I'm looking at that I like better. I just saw someone write about Cody. I like Cody right now too. But yeah, I'll tell you my picks in a bit. Yeah,
I want to give you this, and also I want to talk to you about Cody because I'm tired of being a cheerleader. Like we keep saying it's going to go up. Cody can never break 6 and 7 cents. It just cannot. All right, dude. Your next call.
Okay, so my last one. Yeah, right. So my last one is Rose here. I think this one it's a good price for the short term and the long term as well. So I think Rose is gonna be really valuable with the new feature. So here I kind of raised my chart. I don't know why, but but in this I really expect it to break this high here very soon, and it started rising maybe to a new all-time high. It's a new coin. It was one of the last altcoins that got in the Binance Launchpad. So it's the fundamentals are really good, not just the short, which I value a lot nowadays. I don't like to just buy coins for the techno analysis. I like to combine both, especially right now.
To our listeners that are watching this, I mean, the approach that Coach K uses, and certainly one that I use is, I mean, I use fundamentals mainly, and I'm much more a long-term holder. I think you must always compare the fundamentals to what the technicals are telling you. Now, when we look at the fundamentals of Rose or the Oasis Labs project, which has the Rose token, these guys raised money in 2017 or 2018. It took them a long time to come to market, but they came to market properly. The coin listed at about 3 times what the pre-sale investors paid, and then it came down. I think the pre-sale investors paid around 2 or 2.5 cents. Then it came down. I think it's hit an all-time high of about 6 or 7 cents. And they keep announcing partnerships and they keep announcing amazing things that are happening. And I get the feeling that these guys are doing it slowly and properly and within the United States law. And these guys are very smart. They come from is it Berkeley, Adrian? We went to see them at.
Yeah. They're out of Berkeley. I mean, right in the heart of that tech center.
And they have huge backing. I mean, I see in the comments you've got a connected MCM who's saying they got huge backing. That can't be discounted. All the big funds out there are behind Oasis Labs. Pantera's there, if I'm not mistaken. I think Polychain's there. So I mean, they've got the backing. Yeah. I think it's a matter of getting the sellers who were holding the tokens for a long period of time. It's a matter of getting those sellers out. And once those sellers are out,
yeah,
I think
that's why I brought it today, because I think they are probably out right now. In the short term, we can see a breakout here. It's likely a good entry, in my opinion. That one different from Injective. Injective, I think it's a more long-term play and mid-term play, but in the short term, it's already kind of high. Not gonna lie, of course. That's what I said in the first place. But Rose here, I think it's for all time frames.
Don't forget with Injective. Don't forget with Injective, sometime in the first quarter of next year, a whole lot more tokens get released. People that bought in the pre-sale, I think their tokens get released. I'm not sure exactly when, but around March, April. That might bring some.
It's just May 2021. So it's a bit
May.
ways.
Okay, so Rand, I'm gonna break in for some breaking news here, buddy.
Breaking news.
Alrighty,
so we've got GRT, buddy. We're ignoring the elephant in the room today after GRT was listed directly on Coinbase yesterday. All right, just go to your comments, and people are talking about GRT. This is a kind of a big deal that listed directly on Coinbase yesterday. I'm going to share my screen here just because of kind of what it did to the upending of the market in terms of how it listed yesterday. Yesterday, Bully SQ was saying pretty crazy. BTC just hanging out at 23K, Coinbase filing. And then speaking of Coinbase, they list GRT. And then within a day, listed on OKX. This is the graph. This is a super interesting project. And we're seeing, as I said, just, a direct Coinbase listing. Private pre-sale prices are 3 cents, shot up to 12 cents. Today, it's sitting at 24, 25 cents. Coach K, your thoughts on GRT here?
It's going parabolic right as it came out. I mean, if you're in circles that are like pretty much VIP groups, or if you're in the OG groups, I guess you can call it. I mean, we've been talking about this project for like 4 months. It's been like graph. I'm writing this article on graph. I love this project. Do you want to get some? If you watch OTC markets, man, every single OTC market, everything else is sell. I'm going to sell. I want to sell. And everyone was saying, I want to buy. I want to buy it at 4 cents. I want to buy it at 5 cents. I want to buy it at 6 cents. And I was like, wow, there's some real hype behind this project. What are they doing? No, I haven't done crazy research into it. I just know that when I followed it and everyone today in my group was like, graph, I was like, what is it? We jumped right in right away because there was just so much hype. And sometimes you don't need to look at a chart when you don't have one to really have the analysis of getting in. You just follow, like, if everyone is saying something and it's new, it's probably going to go and have a nice little move to the upside. So I got in at like 4 cents or something like that. And I just been riding it, and I'm just like moving my stop up a little bit at a time. And that's the way to play new listings and stuff with lots of hype. And then I saw the couple things that made me go, okay, well, I'll just not move it too tight was the Coinbase listing. And then it was on Huobi. And then it was on Binance. And I was like, okay, you don't get listed on all these exchanges unless you have something really big behind you.
Dude, your thoughts on GRT, dude?
I mean, it's like Coach K says. I think these new plays, you gotta like ride the hype, raising the stop loss. But as soon as it kind of gets a lot of value in the short term, and sometimes of these new launches, they get a very high valuations, despite the fact that the project can be good or whatever. The hype is so strong that the valuation is probably gonna go to a point that it's not gonna be in the short term valuable, right? Because the project is very new. But I think it's always a good play to ride these hypes and keep raising the stop loss until it gets hit, and then you get out. But yeah, it's obviously it's massive to see Coin getting listed in all of these major exchanges in the same day, in the same time, pretty much.
Alrighty, Adrian, what else is happening on the social airwaves? What other coins are coming up there? I think you called Graph Token before. I didn't listen to you, unfortunately. What else is happening?
Well, interesting. I know Coach K is helping with this.
I want to just say something. There are a lot of these that I don't listen to Adrian, but I've been in the bull market. I've been proven wrong every single time, and the reason is the guy is so tapped into the Telegram groups and the Twitter groups and the Twitter accounts. He gets the momentum trade, and I think that's what the key is here. The key is to get the momentum trades in the bull market.
But also doing our due diligence with the tech and the team, and that there's no rug pulls, and we're looking at all factors. You know, once we research something. Speaking of something new, listing today is Anarchy. Coach K can tell us something about that. Another big NFT play, listing directly on BitHump, and then people are waiting for the Uniswap listing. That's a big deal.
That happened.
Coach K, your thoughts on Anarchy?
Well, I am the CMO, so that's just me transparent about that. I've been involved with this project since pretty much inception with JD Salbago, and man, we've been working so hard, and you know, we saw the market was kind of coming down. I talked to JD and I said, you know what, let's really build this game. Like, let's have something to show people. Soon you're going to see tomorrow, we're having reaction videos of people that are going to play it for the first time. We've had professional gamers try it out and they're just like, this is so sick. We're like, awesome, validation. And we bring like NFTs and the whole farming idea and then esports all together into one. And so it's got a lot of hype. We've been, you know, listed on Yahoo, on Business Insider, on Tech Bullion. So there's been a lot of really good stuff in terms of media coverage. A lot of groups have followed us. A lot of influencers have been posting about us. And, you know, we're really looking to really hit the market running and, you know, get people a product out. Our influencers are going to start on Monday, I believe, just playing the game and just getting a feel for it, testing it out. And we should be ready with this in the new year. So something to be looking forward to in terms of that. And then really cool NFTs. You guys can get them for free. We put in a bunch of them on Rare Bulls. Someone actually bought or claimed like 900 of the 1,000 we were giving away and started selling them. So that was pretty good validation. And from a technical
of NFTs, keep your eyes on Meme because they're coming out with some big time LP memes coming up. Don't sleep on Meme. Don't buy Meme. And then to wrap up, because we do have to wrap up, just some news.
Yeah, guys,
on SNX.
Don't buy Anarchy either. Don't buy Anarchy either, guys. You know, this is a running joke that I have from one of my groups with Makoto from PokeSwap. He literally and he's from Sora Coin. He told us, don't buy Sora, and it was $1, and we were like, why would we buy Sora? He's like, don't buy it, and then it went to like over $100, like 100x, and we were all just like, why did you tell us not to buy it? And that's where the whole don't buy rope and all that don't buy stuff started. So guys, don't buy Anarchy. We're I think almost at 4x in terms of the price, but I won't talk too much about that. Go check it out for yourself, Uniswap, BitHum, and look into what we're doing, not about just the chart, but look at like the cool side of the gaming.
Coach K, enough shilling your own project. We got viewers here, and they want real tips.
We're
running out of time.
It's been
running out of time, so I'm going to give you guys. Coach K, I'm going to give you one coin. Dude, I'm going to give you one coin. Adrian, okay. I want you to put your money where your mouth is.
I'm going to wrap up and just take a look at SNX, long-term synthetic assets, DeFi play. There's some news out of Cardia Chain. T-Core, Tornado Finance, new interesting yield farming that just shot up yesterday. A lot of people were talking about it. T-Core, and if you question where we're at in terms of the market, yes, Bitcoin is at an all-time high, but just look at these shills by some of our favorite crypto Twitter influencers. When they're listing this stuff, you know it's time to do a deep dive into your own research. What alt should we keep an eye on, says Bitcoin Liz. Crypto finally. Show me your get-rich-quick coin soon. Just do it. The Cryptonomist, you have 5 moon bags. What do you buy? BitBoy, it looks like we're getting no sleep season. Let's hear your best alts. So that's where we're at.
Well, Dudes told us that alt season starts this weekend. Adrian, don't run away because I want a call from you. Coach K, you can start. Let's go very quickly. Let's look at what you're calling. 1 or 2 calls. Really tell us what it is that you're buying.
Yep.
We're going to hold you to this one, Coach.
Hold me to it. Okay. Well, you just talked about SNX, so I was like, yes, because I literally just entered SNX on a Kumo breakout, retest trade. SNX doesn't. I mean, synthetics. They pretty much started the whole idea of synthetic. Synthetics on chain. They changed their whole model for this actually in the past, and we have a couple things in. Yeah,
synthetics. One more. We don't have much time.
Okay, so to keep it simple, synthetics is one of the calls that I would be going in. I'd be looking at it coming back to around 750 again.
All right, 750. Dude, your call.
In synthetics?
No, one call of a coin that you'd be buying right now.
Rose for sure.
Rose. Adrian, one call of a coin that you'd be buying right now.
I'm going to say GRT. I'm going the graph. The graph.
You're going the graph after it's gone up so much and it's got the coin.
Fine. T-Core. Tornado Finance.
All your money, man. You're buying too late. You're going to lose your money. All right, I'm going to go with one. I'm going to go with Bird. Bird is a very small project, a very, very, very small market cap. I'm going with a very small market cap only because I think that at prices of $20, it's on a market cap of under $2 million, under $3 million. And for me, that's a steal. Guys, thank you so much for being on Crypto Banter. It's been amazing. We've had another jam-packed show. Loved you guys. To the people in the comments, you guys made the show up. I see you all. Blue Kind, OG84, Winsome Hacks. Coach K is the man, says Raphael Wheel. Phil Young, Cryptosphere, Connected MCM. I've been watching you guys the whole time. I may not be able to respond all the time, but I do see you guys. You guys are what powers the show. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, because that's what gets us out there. Mr. Bastian 770, I see you. Josh Grubber, I see you. Winsome Hacks, I see you. Mr. Bastian, I see you again. So thank you very much. You guys actually make the show. I'll see you again sometime next week. Stay on our Telegram channel and on my Twitter to find out when we are going to have a show.
Thanks for having us, man. It's a great show.
I'm going to spend some time with my family over the festive season. If you're trading, trade well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Coach K. Thank you, dude. Adrian, as always, thank you for your amazing production and for the amazing work that you do for us. I'll see you again sometime next week. I'm going to just let us bring back and say that we will see you guys sometime in the next week. We'll let you know. Follow my Twitter, follow my Telegram. That's where all the news will be. Until then, if you're trading, trade well. Let's make money. Let's catch this bull market. I'll see you soon. That's the Crypto Man Run. Trade well, my friends.
Crypto Banter is a social podcast for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers should not be construed as financial advice. Views expressed by guests and hosts do not reflect the views of the station. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research. That's the end of our live show. Thank you for calling in and tuning in. Head over to cryptobanter.com now to access all past recordings and engage with other listeners. That's cryptobanter.com.